If you haven't got problems, I feel bad for your son. I got 99 problems and a bitch ain't one.
All right, welcome, folks. This is Marvel Strike Force, 99 characters, but a Stitcher ain't one, with Damian and Iain. I'm Damian.
And in an 80s intro, hi, I'm Iain.
So this is our first episode, Iain. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I think it's a capital idea. So in our first introduction episode, all we're going to do is episode 1, the introduction, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the game as to who we are, how we like to play, and what we think we can offer to new players. So I'll start off. I'm Damian Harmony, and I have been playing for 151 days. Feels like it's an AA meeting now. And do you guys have that over there, or is that just part of the culture?
Sorry, didn't realise it was rhetorical, but on you go, man.
Yeah. But I've been playing for 151 days. I'm absolutely a free-to-play character. I don't like spending money on digital games. I've gotten my way up to level 66 in those 151 days. My total collection power, for those of you who like to have a measuring stick, is 704,000. I got just to 100 total characters, which I really like. And just yesterday, because of some suggestions that Iain had given me offline, I got up to an arena score of 588. What about you, man?
Hello, I'm Iain. And no, I'm not going to go down that route. But just out of curiosity, what is AAA where you are? Is that the autumn? Is that who fixes your car?
Yeah, AAA fixes your car. AA is a 12-step program to get out of alcoholism, or it's one half of the Brain Busters, the other half being Tully Blanchard.
Nice reference.
Thank you.
Over here, all three are AA. What can I say?
Oh, okay.
So I've been doing this 771 days, in fact. What's that? That's too long, I think.
That's
and
3/4 of a JFK presidency. That's what that is.
And what's my total collection power? 7.75 million. Strongest team power, just about 50,000 short of Damian's total collection power. I don't know. Let's get into this, man.
Yeah.
What information are we going to be divulging to the wonderful audience?
Well, I'm sorry. I'm still gobsmacked over the fact that you have literally 10 times my power, and you've been at this for roughly 4 times as long. Like, that's a little bit more, almost 5 times long. That's an insane gap, and that's part of it. I think what we're going to do is, how do noobs like me close that gap?
Closing the gap, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, just kind of how to get started. I mean, it's a fun game. It's a lot of fun, Marvel Strike Force. I'd say it's one of the more fun turn-based strategy games because each character is so unique and has such cool different aspects to it, and it's so much fun animation. And it stays true to who the characters are in the comic books, which is nice. Other games, it's pretty much just blasters and lightsabers. And that's cool for a little while, but it gets dull. But we're going to talk about things like how to beef up your arena team, whether or not it's worth it to whale or FTP, what limits there are to both of those. One, of course, being, I would imagine buying kids' shoes, but also, just various things like what campaigns to attempt. How does the gear break down? I'm sure I've wasted a lot of gear. I've wasted probably a lot of resources that I could have better used to focus on getting the characters that I want.
Yes, and we'll be looking at all these sort of issues over sort of several episodes. So basically drilling down in about 15 or 20 minutes, one sort of specific aspect of Marvel Strike Force. A game that, I don't know how much you play it per day, but it's seemingly as if I'm never off it, to be honest. I'm not talking about intense. I'm just it being there and maybe pressing a button type thing. That's the way I kind of play it.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just my my Lou game. That's the Star Wars one probably is my potty game. It's certainly one that I will do if I get to the end of a chapter of a book and I'm like, I don't feel like reading a little bit more, but I do want to keep sitting here because the dog is with me.
Yeah.
And so I'll just pull that thing out. Also, it's a fun reward for my son, because he has the game on his iPad at his mom's house,
Right, cool.
and he likes to see where he could get. So it's similar to, walking around and seeing me just behaving my normal life because he sees his genetic future. Here he sees his gaming future, and it's equally depressing. So.
Well, funny you should mention your son, because it was actually my son that got me into this game. And much because he was basically just downloading things on my phone.
Sure.
And he came across this and he was playing with it. And I mean, obviously he's into Marvel. So he was sort of playing along with it. And I was sort of like playing it with him, sort of kind of explaining to him and sort of reading the bits that he'd read. And then the more I sort of got into it, and as you know, as children are, they're sort of, their interests peak and wane away. I sort of found myself sometimes admonishing him for wasting power cores, resources, things like that. I'm like, why are you spending 650 power cores on opening a fucking nebula orb? That kind of stuff. So yeah, it was. He still sort of drops in now and then and sort of plays it, but it's very much a watchful eye that Father has over him when he plays. But he knows the score now. Because there was another Marvel game. I think it's Contest of Champions.
I have that game as well.
Is that the one
I was
where it's
really
side,
enjoying that.
Yeah, I quite like that one as well.
Yeah.
Again, he downloaded it and managed to spend £600 on upgrades and things like that. I managed, luckily, to get it back.
Wow.
Just by sort of pleading with my bank and with Google and saying, listen, I've not got a password on my phone. This is what has happened, but if only I'd spent £600 in this game, I might be even further forward. But no,
I love it.
But
yeah, we have a very strict rule about you spend no money. If it asks you a question about spending money, you have to clear it with me. I assume he has a similar rule with his mom. And he's always my son is if there's a rule, he'll follow it. So I know he's going to act in good faith on that. But also, like, I tell him, I'm like, no, we grind. This is what we do in this house. In this house, we are FTP. That's it.
But again, some of the problems with this game is that, I mean, he has those rules and he does understand them as well. But sometimes in some of these games, I think it was especially with Contest of Champions when I looked into it, it does sort of, the pop-ups that you get, they do seem very, this is nice, shiny, free stuff. Just click here, you get nice, shiny, free stuff. While it's hammering daddy's wallet for that week's grocery shopping.
Taking away the nice, shiny, expensive stuff.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, all right. So the game starts you with the following three basic characters, right? You get Luke Cage, Spider-Man, and a shield medic.
That's right. Oh,
yeah. So you've basically got a tank, a hitter, and a healer.
Yeah. Essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, you end up unlocking pretty quickly, if I recall, the Punisher. So now you've got another hitter of sorts. Deadpool. My son said he got a shield operative pretty quick, and then Crossbones and Elektra, which makes sense because you got villains that way. And so for early players, you're looking at a pool of about 10 characters. That I'm seeing. Yeah.
If I recall correctly, and certainly from those that you'd mentioned, I'm thinking about 2, 3 at a push are still sort of relevant once you get to, if you like, level 80, where I'm at the moment. Shield, Deadpool. Well, for the longest time, a year ago, Deadpool wouldn't have been in this conversation, but he's at the top of this conversation because he's been granted the Team X-Force. And he's not the best member of it, but he's certainly a key component of it. So
I would imagine, to interrupt you, that based on his history with both Domino and with Cable, that they're pulling all kinds of synergy between the three of them.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with Domino. Well, no, in fact, both of them quite equally, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
So he's sort of the top of the list of the very, very early stages that you do sort of still, you still require, even late game. I wouldn't say that I was late game. I would say probably I'm late mid game. But certainly late game, X-Force and Deadpool are still being used quite a lot. The other one that's still quite relevant around about sort of mid game and later is Shield Medic, with the sort of Nick Fury Coulson defense team.
Okay.
And the other one that's sort of pushing it maybe is Shield Operative. I'm not the greatest fan of Shield Operative. Mine isn't actually that high, to be perfectly frank with you. I don't know if we can go in and have a look and see where my Shield Operative is, but she's not that high. She's a pain to go against, certainly, because of all the sort of the heals and the what they
The
call
stealth
the
thing that she does to people.
That's
Yeah.
the word I was looking for. The stealthing that she does for other people. She's a pain to play against. Not the best to have in your team, but certainly if it was a defensive team, then she'd be. She's a pain to go against without a doubt.
Because the AI for her would be relatively simple since she only has 2 moves, basically. So
yeah.
she's going to shoot or she's going to stealth. She's going to anti-taunt characters. So
Yeah.
instead of, she's still controlling who you hit. So
And there she is.
good.
There, 16,000 I've got for her. Which, to be honest, you'd probably snap my hand off. Not being funny, but that is nothing. If you sort of look at the top of my roster, that's where I'm sort of working at just now.
Right.
My top 2 rows are over 100,000. Black Bolt, the daddy, 150,000. So of certainly of the starting tunes that you get, Shield Medic, Deadpool, possibly Shield Operative are still relatively relevant sort of come end game, certainly mid game anyway.
Okay. And we'll get into what those tiers mean too, mid game, beginning game, end game and stuff as we go. So that'll be a fun discussion because it'll depress me. So I found also that and my son confirmed this, he said that he got Cap and Thor and Hulk. And those seem to be based on longevity.
Right.
And then it gets a little more random. For instance, I got Hela, he got Shatterstar. Just, as we were starting out. And so Hela absolutely kind of started me down a path because I knew that she and Thor should synergize. And so I kept developing the 2 of them. And because I had Thor so developed, I kept developing Cap and Thor.
Yeah.
Or Cap and Hulk because I was like, well, Avengers eventually will assemble. So,
Like what you did there.
Thank you. It takes a Hawkeye to really see
Hawkeye,
what I'm.
Hawkeye, the Scottish superhero.
See, now when I hear Hawkeye, I think of 2 characters. I think of the guy from MASH, and also Natty Bumppo from the Nathaniel Hawthorne book.
Neither of references resonate with me in the slightest, so shall we move on?
Good. Sure. Let's pretend that went well. So, did you want to show us a decent arena game? Do you have an arena match that you could take us through and walk and talk us through it, just to get a feel for how we can do it?
We'll probably cover arena a bit more in another episode. But this is basically my arena team at the moment. I'm at rank 150. Again, I should be 100 ranks. I'm usually about 100 ranks bigger than that. But it's all about, I don't know. I'm just trying to break into the 100 because the rewards that you get each day for breaking into certain nodes,
Tiers.
if you like, then I'll usually always go after Black Order, but I don't think I'm going to this time.
Okay.
I'll go after these guys.
And who's on that squad? For
On my
those of us who
squad,
are
I
listening?
have got Anti-Venom, Carnage, Symbiote Spider-Man, Emma Frost, and Black Bolt. The thinking behind that is that the 3 symbiotes there, they all sort of complement each other very well. Emma Frost does a ton of damage, a ton of slowing down of the other team, and Black Bolt just hits like a truck.
Gotcha. So got
And that's
decent
the
control of the battlefield, good synergy with all your symbiotes, and you've got your you're just gonna come up and smack you guy.
basically, yes.
Nice.
Right, so I'm going to go after. I'm going to try and summon Dark Phoenix as quickly as I can. The one thing that sort of doesn't depress me, to be quite honest, it's the wrong word, but that I would like in these games, it's the timers that you've got. 5 minutes, which is why I'm playing it on 3 times speed. Because some of the animations in the game are really cool. I really do enjoy them on sort of normal speed, if you like.
Yeah.
But you do sort of have to speed it
Amp
up
it up.
sometimes if you want to go through the the matches quickly, and you don't time out and you don't sort of lose basically the battle because you've timed out your attacks.
Yeah, I
So
wonder if I would love, because I see that in other games of similar type. I wonder if you could get a game where kind of like what it does with the real time, where it's more based on per round. You have this much time to decide,
yeah.
and then it lets it go. That would be better, I think. But yeah, I've also found the same frustration.
Yeah, it's.
So,
I mean, there are some game modes that you can, that don't have timers, and you're able to sort of chip away at it as you like. But thankfully, this one I could have probably played on normal because, well, there we go, decimated. But that shouldn't have been a hard fight anyway, but that's basically how the arena works. I'm up to rank 138. Ideally, I'm usually around sort of 60, 70, maybe 80. But yeah, that's about that.
nice.
But yeah, sort of early game mechanics and early game tunes that you get, and there are only really a couple that you would keep sort of end game. Unfortunately or fortunately, depends which way you look at it. You do have to build them up to some extent to get through the campaigns. But again, we'll get into that in a future episode as well. But yeah, that's
Okay.
about it.
So, hey, Ian, what if I wanted to break this down into 3 or 4 steps of how to maximize my character efforts toward getting and opening up more characters from the jump? So I step in, I'm at level 1, I do like the introductory tutorial battles. It automatically amps me up to like level 3 or 4, which is a great, burst of like, hey, I'm doing really well. How do I maximize my efforts from there forward when I've just got Luke Cage, the medic, Deadpool, Spider-Man, and Punisher, or those 10? Give me 3 or 4 steps to tell me how to get it so that I can start unlocking more and more characters and getting more stuff.
All of the characters, certainly early game, come from the campaigns. We'll be getting into that as well. But at the very start of the campaigns, you're looking to the Heroes campaign. There's your Punisher, your Hawkeye, Yondu, Mysterio, who's still relevant a bit later on. What's her name? Sorceress, whatever it is.
Sorceress,
I don't care because she's Hand. My goodness. And then as you start progressing, you can level up your Luke Cage, your Cap, your Shocker. And it really is just through the campaigns that you do sort of, you gain more characters, you get more experience, and you get more things to level up your characters, building better teams, and then progressing through the ranking systems.
At what point should I start looking at building a better team?
Day one? Why would you ask that, Damian?
Well, I'm just wondering if and we'll get into team building as well as team placement, because I found that has made quite a difference in my arena team.
Yeah.
Just the same characters, but in different positions, and suddenly it opened up a whole lot more. So, well, excellent. This looks like a lot of fun, and I can see now where I could get to. And now I'm looking forward to mining your brain for ways that I could get there. So,
as long as you're not mining my wallet, because that's one of the downfalls of the game. But again, we'll get into that in future episodes.
Most definitely. Well, cool. I'd say this is a good place to stop off, and in our next episode, we will start asking questions about the different types of characters. So, let's see. Let's actually plug where we're going to be, because both of us aren't just players of this game, but we're actually also comics who do other stuff. So, Iain, what do you do and where do you do it?
The UK Pun-Off is one of my sort of avenues of entertainment that I try to provide. If you check out UK Pun-Off on Facebook and Twitter and also YouTube, as well as myself at iMacPun. You can find me on, again, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Give me a follow. If you like puns, you like one-liners, I churn stuff out every day. And I might even be bringing out some PS5 footage as well, because today I just got a PS5 camera. So
Fantastic.
Watch this space. At iMacPun.
There you go.
What
All
about
right.
yourself, Damian?
You can find me at Da Harmony. That's 2 H's in the middle, both on the Twitter and the Instagram. I'm part of a pun show over here in California called Capital Punishment. You can find us on twitch.tv/Capital Puns every Tuesday night. My partner and I, Daniel, will be slinging puns back and forth with a number of guests. Iain has been and will continue to be a honored and featured guest on our show. And then I also have a podcast with another partner of mine. I don't ever do anything alone. That's really, I'm the ultimate, I'm Spider-Man Marvel team up guy. I'm the Spider-Man and I just work with all these other folks. My partner Ed and I, we do a podcast called A Geek History of Time, where we look at all things nerdy and the historical antecedents of them. And it's all kinds of fun. We look all across the globe. And let's see, I've got those things. And then I do have a YouTube page as well. So if you've ever wanted to learn Latin, you are welcome to come there, because I've put all my Latin lessons online for the time being because of the plague times. So feel free to drop by there. I think there's still some comedy of mine on there as well, but I've mostly converted it to Latin lessons. So come on by if you want to learn the accusative. So, all right. We don't really have a good sign off for this. So feel free to let us know a good one if you come up with one, and we might credit you for that. But I will say this, until next time, Excelsior.